Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Canal Days, What Life is Like in the Industrial Connecticut River Valley of Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining us today is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Coleman. He personally offers and leads public and private tours, as well as presentations of historical sites within communities throughout the state of Massachusetts. The communities he has chosen to focus on this year are Holyoke, Chicopee, South Hadley, and East Hampton, and also Granby and Amherst as well. His tours spotlight the local canals, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as various parks, streets, and selected historical houses within each community. Today's episode will be discussing the war memorials in Belchertown, Massachusetts. So where are the memorials located?
I know Belchertown very well, and ran through the center of this beautiful town. It's right outside the Mount Hope Cemetery, near the Congregational Church. There's a big green there, and in one section of it, they put memorial plaques, memorial statues, so forth. And they're well worth the visit. I tend to like memorial objects, but if you like to know the military personnel that went off to the various wars from Belchertown, then this is a great place to go. It has list of the men who died during the course of that war due to illnesses or injuries. It also has all the names of the men that went off to the war and came back. And it includes in Belchertown the names of the men that lived in other communities and settled after the war at some point in Belchertown. So that third category most communities don't have. So today we're going to talk about all the wars, especially World War I and II, which have nice sections, especially the Civil War Statue Memorial, which is gorgeous and is basically the highlights. And then whether there's anything else of note around this area. It's filled with churches around this green, the old Catholic Church, the Congregational Church, the Baptist Church nearby, so it's quite filled up. And it's considered to be the center of Belchertown itself.
And tell us about the World War I and II plaques.
Fine. The World War I and II plaques are on the base of the flagpole itself. They have 4 plaques on this rectangular base. And what they have is the names of the men who went off to these wars. It just went off from Belchertown. And the first slide has, in general, the names of the people that died during the course of 4 different wars. And those wars are World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam is appended below that. These are the deaths. They had the supreme sacrifice. Now around the other sides, you have the Roll of Honor. That means men that went off to war from Belchertown but came back. And so you have World War II basically on its own plaque, World War I on its own plaque, Korea is on the 4th side. And again, these are the men that went off to war and came back successfully. But that first slide, of course, is going to be the most popular because it has the names of the men who died for Belchertown and for their country. It has 4 for World War I, 10 for World War II, 1 for Korea, and 2 for Vietnam. So it's quite the sight.
And quickly before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, if you want to find out more information or sign up for any of his various tours, you can check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And there you can also find videos and podcasts of the stops along each of his tours, as well as photos and text of the historical sites throughout as well. And for any personal inquiries or private tours, you can email him directly at bobcat4214, and his tours make for fun, educational, outdoor activities for families and group parties. So tell us about the Civil War Memorial.
Yes, this is the centerpiece of this memorial green. It's a large statue, and it's gorgeous to look at. And what it consists of is a soldier at ease with his rifle, holding his rifle, and then on it are four sides, of course, and on it are the names of the men from Belchertown that went off the wars, and they'll have some different battles on the very base bottom of that. And for instance, I'll give you some of the names. Yorktown, well, that's Revolutionary War. Then they give you Wilderness, Civil War, Gettysburg, Civil War, and then Fair Oaks, Port Hudson. And then they have the names of men that settled in Belchertown after the war. They have the names of men from Belchertown that went after the war. And then they have the names of men from Belchertown that died during the course of that war. So it's a gorgeous statue. It's quite tall, maybe 20 feet tall. So you'll like to look at that one.
And what other memorials are here?
Okay, so you're going to have another memorial for the Vietnam War and Korean War. They're in black stone. And then you have this Vietnam memorial that is just a boots and a gun. All right. And then you have a memorial stone which has the names of the men that went off to the Korean War. The Vietnam War, because they didn't fit on another plaque on the flagpole. And then you have a stone that says Belchertown honors our veterans who served the Middle Eastern wars, and it has the names of the veterans that went after that war. Okay, so you have a lot to look at. One thing else to have, benches, of course, around the entire park, but specifically they have some in that area. And then they have a cannon, probably from World War I, by the look of it. So quite a bit to look at, and I hope you go there.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours and historical topics of your expertise. And we want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And you can check out a large selection of our other podcasts on his website, as well as on SoundCloud.com. And be sure to check out daily posted videos and podcasts. And thank you for tuning in.